Hi everybody, welcome back to Ultra Mad Glen, where this week we're going to talk about food, real food versus gels. And before I get into the video, I want to thank everybody that suggested this video over the last month. The benefits of real food versus the benefits of gels. What are you going to get from this video? One, I'm going to explain how, depending on the length of the race, depending on your training goals, depending on how your body reacts to different nutrition, will depend on whether or not you should go with real food or gels. Gel, one of these little sachet type things. This is obviously a high five gel. I've been using them for quite some time. Lots and lots of other gels in the market. Find one that you like, find one with the right nutrition in it. Do check the nutrition, because they can have different amounts of protein, different amount of carbs, different electrolytes, things like that in them, so do have a look at that. So gels versus real food, which I put down to, for me, is nuts, dried fruit, berries, things like dates, dried almonds, dried apricots, seeds, sunflower seeds, all that nice stuff. And I've trained with both in the past. I have had good success with both in the past, and I'm going to just jump in and tell you how I kind of manage in between the two. Whenever I first started running, gels was all the rage, especially for the marathon distance, where you are smashing in the gels every 40 minutes, 100 calories every 40 minutes, swallowing a gel, going with sports drink. And it was really beneficial. Whenever I switched to Ironman triathlon, exact same thing. Very handy to have on the bike. Gels, you get your water, get your sports drink, that's all you've really got. Ironman races, mine used to go for under 11 hours. So gels after 11 hours get a little bit, if you're going longer on an Ironman race or on a longer run race, I would highly recommend real food, because there is only so much and so many gels one person can put into the body at a time. For me, that's around about anything over the 10-hour mark, 11-hour mark. I'll always go to some sort of real food in between times. And the last few years on the ultra runs, certainly anything over the marathon distance, my first 100 miler, which took 33 hours, I went with gels. But in my aid stations and my drop bags, I did have some real food, some other real nice real food while we're on it. Pizza, cold pizza, woo! And this depends on your dietary needs, obviously. I went plant-based quite a few years ago, so all my real food now revolves around nuts, fruits. If I am going for pizza, it's pizza without cheese. If I am going for pizza, it's the like of the Domino's pizza. But really what the goal is still to get that calorie intake right, whether it's gels, whether it's really or real food. The biggest thing is, you know what your calorie intake is, you know what your body is per hour and you go with that. And again, it comes very much back to the race. 10k, 15k, 20k, even up to a 50k race. Certainly no issues with gels. And I know people that have run 100k races with gels also. So if you're used to training with gels, if you know how to get your 150 to 250 calories an hour, depending on your size, your weight, into the body, then gels is perfect. Or energy bars. For everybody else who's going that little bit longer, like of a 100k, 100 mile, 200 mile run, 3-day ultra triathlon, the Ultraman, after day 2, I couldn't look at another gel, and my strategy was gels. So what I highly recommend is, if you have long days planned, and especially for multiple days, definitely start introducing some real food. One, it's going to really give you more substance. It's also going to leave that you can eat quite often without any stomach issues. Quite often people with going only on gels, only on sports drink and gels, can end up with having stomach concerns, cramps, issues, things like that. So the beauty of real food is our body is designed to take in real food. So as long as we're putting it in the right amounts at the right times, there's a lot greater chance that it's going to react to it in a much better way. Things to note when planning your real food intake, things that I have found has helped me in the past, and things that I'm sure will help you in the future. Having a plan in place for how often you're going to eat and how many calories you're going to get in. Again, really important, whether it's real food or whether it's gels, super important, but have that plan in place. There's absolutely nothing wrong with having a plan that incorporates both real food and gels. I have also used to quite some success last year in the Delirious West. It now gets to the point where I'll just carry 3 or 4 gels in my backpack at any one time whenever I'm out training, for the simple reason that the biggest risk that I have found to endurance sports in terms of nutrition is we just get sick of putting that fuel, I like to think of it, into our mouth. It just, you can't stomach another gel, you can't stomach another date, you can't stomach more nuts, you can't look at another baby food. If you've got the same thing over and over and going in, and the race is a long race, your biggest risk is getting sick of it and not taking on that nutrition. And we all know what happens whenever we don't take on nutrition. Highly recommend having a plan in place with lots of variety. Highly recommend getting out, training in your long runs, using that plan week in, week out, determining what exactly you're going to be eating, when you're going to be eating it. And it doesn't have to be down to the letter of the law. Quick tip, what I like to do to get my crew whenever I'm doing the longer races, the 200 milers or 100 miler, I like to have my crew set up the like of smaller sachets if you just want to, and these are just little kind of sandwich bag type things with different things in. This is obviously the one that I had is just crystallized ginger, so a lot of sugar, a lot of calories, different taste than some of the other nuts and fruit and stuff, and also getting some ginger into the body, into the bargain. Having it set out on tables, a little bit of an option. I come in my tired state, confused, not really knowing what I want. It's sitting there, it's a case of, what do you want, Glenn? Oh, and I pick it and I go. And I know that as long as each of them bags have roughly 200 calories in an hour, if I eat what's in that bag in that next hour, I'm getting my right calorie intake. If you ask me what's the most successful to use for a 200-mile race, even a 100-mile race, what I would strongly recommend, and what I do myself, I have found the best after the last few races, is a mixture of both. As I said, have a gels on board, maybe one every 2 hours, whenever you really don't feel like eating, but you know you have to. Squirt in a gel, keep moving. Have the nuts, have the real food, whether it's nuts, whether it's potato chips, crisps, whether it's sweets, gummy bears, whatever you fancy. If it's real food, it's better. I have all them things where I can put into the backpack and take with me. Some of the real foods that I like to eat at the aid stations, quick rundown, if I can think of them, is soups, avocados, rice, and kind of curried stuff. Just things that are a lot more savoury than kind of the nuts and dried fruit that I might be carrying in the bag. As I say, fresh fruit, not dried fruit, fresh fruit is also a winner. Getting in watermelon, oranges, bananas, things like that. It's just a great way to mix it up. As I mentioned earlier, cold 2-day-old pizza that you've bought on the way down to the race, woo! And if you can get somebody that's passing a chip shop and get hot chips like I did last year, woo-hoo-hoo, it's like winning the lottery. So don't be frightened to mix it up, but the key is making sure you train the way you're gonna eat. So highly recommend, before you run in the evening for the longer races, when part of your training, come home, have a dinner, sit for 5 or 10 minutes, get up and get moving, just as if it's part of the race. That is really going to help your body get used to running and taking in food at the same time. Small amounts, quite often as you're running. If you're at an aid station, try and figure out how long you're planning to stop at the aid station. If it's an hour stop, the bigger meal. If it's a 5 or 10 minute stop, the smaller real food, the like of your fruit, veg, something easy to lift and go. Now I'm down on the lovely Jindalee beach, trying to get used to some beach running again for the Delirious West in 10 weeks time. If you're heading down to the race, really looking forward to seeing you down there. So coming up in the next video is going to be what I eat whenever I'm not running. For anybody that wants to see that, hit the link below, hit the link that's coming up, and I hope you enjoy. Thanks for watching again.